Hey everyone, so it's Matt. We're back with Kraken for another build day, and just wanted to give you all a heads up. I'm planning on actually having a robot fight today. We're going to take Kraken, we're going to finish putting the lid on, and charging her up with pneumatics, and taking her outside and running a test. And it is pouring rain today. It's been pouring. As soon as we woke up this morning, it was raining. It's been raining all day long. No signs of letting up. So we're not going to be able to fight robots today, because I don't want to get my robot all full of water and turn rust. So we're going to be instead working on getting the robot put back together, do a little bit of touch-up work on her, and a little bit of cleanup stuff to get her ready to go. We'll get Kraken 2 over here. We'll start getting her ready as well. And then hopefully we'll get everything dusted up, put together, and then maybe we can fight tomorrow. So at 100%. So yeah. More to come, and let's get to work. So we're going to just do a little bit of cleanup stuff, make sure everything's 100% ready to go. So we were running a test. What I'm doing right now is I'm tearing off the a piece of Velcro. We're running a test on Kraken to test the a tail. We're going to put a tail on her, hopefully keep her from tipping over. Now the tail, we had a tail in season 1, and it worked really well. The problem was when we got flipped upside down, the tail prevented us from self-righting. So the tail worked great to keep us from getting flipped, from wheeling and flipping over, but it prevented us from self-righting. So the plan was to take and put a tail on that would be held on with Velcro or double stick tape or some other means like that. And if we got flipped over, that tail would just get knocked off, and then we wouldn't have a tail for the rest of the match. But as long as it worked for the first couple box rushes and the first exchange, it would be an improvement over last season. We didn't have a ton of success with that tail test. I'm not giving up on the idea because I think it's close to working, but it presents some unique challenges. And one of those challenges is that hole in the back is what we use to supply our air pressure to turn the air tank on for Kraken. So there's 2 air tanks. They're charged independently. One has its air valve here, which will turn it on with a small screwdriver. We reach through that hole and turn it on. The other one is located at the top here. We need to drill a new hole for that air tank to turn that on, so we'll have to work that out. But I'm going to work on getting everything kind of wired up. I'm going to plumb everything in, connect all the lighting up and everything like that. We checked the drive last night. I tested the top half previously, but I couldn't get it to fail safe, so I'm going to work for a little bit on trying to get that to fail safe, and then we'll go from there. We got our lid from last year, and we're going to use it just to hold everything in. That's the right one. And we're going to need a hole right about where the screw is. About there. Again, these are last year's panels, so it's not super precise for us here. As long as we get it in the ballpark, we can make it work from there. Yeah. Go on there. Check that again. About centered between the two holes. Let's give it a try. See where we end up. All right, we'll rotate camera a little bit. There we go. We'll go on appropriate safety gear. Wouldn't you know it? We're going to do that by hand then. Little bench top drill press does not have enough neck on it to get in there. Enough of a throat. This is more appropriate. I have a ton of scrap wood just laying around the house just for such an occasion. Got a little steel plate under there, so it's just a piece of 1/8" plastic UHMW, and then below that is just a sheet metal cover. So the idea is the UHMW kind of stops the first impact, and the steel kind of reinforces the UHMW, gives it a little bit of added strength. The other thing it gives you is when the UHMW gets hit, if the steel gets bent, it'll be bent, but the UHMW will kind of pop back up and hide any dents that are under there. So it won't look like we've sustained a lot of damage. So. Running out of juice. What else to go through? A little bit of sheet metal there, just bit into on that bit. A little bit of sheet metal is stronger than I am. I'll break my wrist. Alright. Let's see how it lined up there. Well, I think we hit the end of the bolt there. Hey, we are dead nuts on. Perfect. Alright, we'll have to clean that up because that's going to be super sharp. Where's the thermal tool? Just saw that guy. Like I said, we just rearranged the whole shop, so now I can't find anything. It's alright. Just be right here. This one actually belongs to a buddy of mine. And the box has a piece of tape that says "Fix Me" on it. Makes me wonder, did we fix it? I forgot to pull the tape off. Does it actually need fixed? That's all right. Some story. We're gonna have to find the other set because he doesn't have any sanding drawings in his. Ah, there it is. We dropped our case and broke it. Not mine. A little plastic case broke. And a little plastic Tupperware. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of neat. I'll show you guys what we did. So we broke our Dremel tool case. I forgot we had done this. But if you look in there, we just took a little block of 1x2 and drilled holes in it, and then it fits all of our little pieces. If we need to get more things in there, we'll just drill more holes and pop a couple more in there. So, quick little fix. Plug in the shop. Little bugs flying around my shop. Back in business. All right. That's fantastic. So another goal that we had for this season was we actually saw Cobalt do this last year and really liked it. They actually powered up the robot from the other side of the small wall, so they could have the robot. They could reach over the wall and just power everything on from above, which is great. And we have very little changes that we have to do to make that work. So the one thing that we have to do is the hold on here, like you mentioned, for powering on the pneumatic tank. The other one on top. So obviously it's difficult to get to that one reaching down through a wall, looking through the hole. So what we actually did this year was we added this little valve here on the top, which needs to be kind of relocated a little bit. But this valve up top right now is set to vent. What we can actually do is before we go into the box, we can power on our air tanks. And this valve here is a 3-position valve. So right there would be off. We could turn it that way, and now it's on. And we could turn it the other way, and now it's vented. So that gives us the ability to have a system that can be powered on. We can actually activate the tanks from outside the arena, and then once we get in there, turn this valve on and supply air to the bot itself from the top of the robot. If you watched the video yesterday, you can see we could power on both side drives from the top. So we've got everything that we need to be able to do that, and then powering on the electrics for the head, and the flame system is up top as well. So all of our switches are now located on the top of the robot, which should make powering the robot on a lot easier. All right. So that guy's ready to go. All right, so let's see. Okay. You see me kind of stepping oddly into and out of frame. It's because the dog's kind of laying in the path to get to the toolbox. So she likes to do that. She picks the spot where you need to be most often, and that's where she lays. So we're gonna power on right now. And, we've got power now for the pneumatics. And the lights. So like I mentioned, one of the rules with BattleBots, you gotta make sure all your power, when you power on, there's some type of lighting or indication that lets you know that the bot is on. We use these big lights here.
The device is connected.
Trying to activate the lighting here. So there's a little app. These are lights were from our sponsor last year, XK Glow. They're super cool. They have a little app that works with them. I can't get it to connect right now, but hopefully it'll hook. Let's try to disconnect instead.
The device is disconnected.
Yes, you are. All right, we'll leave that guy in and see if it hooks up. All right, well, while it's trying to connect. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these lights actually to light up, and the way they're set up this year, they'll actually pulse like a green color. It looks like kind of like she's breathing. We had it last year as well, but the way the lights were positioned in the robot, you couldn't really see it. So we kind of changed how the lights are mounted and positioned. So hopefully it will be a little bit more apparent this year. But that's all good. Let's grab our weapon transmitter. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time, which is basically we're holding the switch on right now, which is our supply. Yeah, just making sure it was going to the right valve. There's lights inside the top of the valve as well that are built into the valve itself, so I can tell which one is clicked in. So I've got the supply vent pulled in. If I shut off my transmitter, it clicked off. So that's what we were hoping for. Power back on. The one that I'm trying to troubleshoot right now is see if we can see it down there. Can you see that guy? So right down in there, I know how to make it so you can see it here. There it is. That's the switch. So that bright orange light you see glowing there is actually our igniter. And then I'll get in here as well. So the problem that I have right now is when it's on, if I do my fail-safe weapon test, that just stayed hot. Ooh, oh, it went out. Never mind. I'm a liar. I just didn't wait long enough last time. I didn't wait for that to cool off. Well, sweet. Cool. Maybe I'll open the garage door up and we'll shoot some flames. What do you guys say? What's wrong with that light on? Okay. Let's try one more test then. Yeah, that'll be able to see it. We're going to do one more test. We're actually going to see if our throttle will fail safe. Okay, so our throttle is not fail safe. Kind of difficult to see in here, but the throttle should. Throttle should. Retract. For whatever reason, it's not. So we'll go in our transmitter. We'll try and adjust our fail-safe settings here. So we're gonna go in, press a button. Oops. Yeah. And we'll go to page 2, scroll down. Let's see if that fixes. No, I believe that servo may have been damaged in its last couple fights. It's starting to get kind of finicky. And a finicky servo is no good. Let's try that. Alright, let's try again. So what we did was we went to custom set out the board. So I'll let you know. Part of me is wondering whether or not this, how much of this is my receiver's not working, and how much of this is my servo is not working. Let's try our igniter again. We got, oops, let me go out of the way so you guys can actually see. Okay. Boom, that worked perfectly. Alright, so we're gonna have to put the troubleshoot that. Let's see how much rain we've got out there. So, just so you all know, whenever I made the decision, I said, hey, we're going to fight robots tomorrow. It hasn't rained in Florida in like a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. It hasn't rained in forever. Definitely not an all-day rain. And then today, it's 2020. If you make a plan, it's not going to work right. So let's try and light something on fire. Got the jaw in. The flame on there. Move some kids' bicycles out of the way. Just lower the bandsaw. You don't see okay? Yeah, I think so. It looks like I'm gonna light the front of my car on fire. The car is actually like 15 feet back, so that'll be fun. Oh no. Cool. All right. So I think we're about ready to do a quick fire check. The igniter's working, the flame is working. Just need something to burn. Trying to figure out what I got. Cardboard. Let's try to see if the wheel can. It's not big enough. Yeah, let's just hit it. We don't need to burn it anymore. Alright, we're gonna check out our flame. Lighter is hot, ready. And 3, 2, 1. I love it. All right. So sorry we couldn't do robot fighting, but at least we got some fire. We're gonna save the rest of our butane so that we have it. So when we actually do have our fight, I want the full pneumatics working and the flame working in a fight. The reason being is last season we had fire, but it wasn't very reliable just because the igniter kept getting broken. We had the two wires right now. There was a piece of nichrome wire that joined the two sides together, and that nichrome wire, whenever it got hot, got really brittle. And brittle things in a battle box is not what you want. So that wire was kind of held in place really stiffly, and then we had burr wire. And then so anytime we got a shock, that little nichrome wire just shattered and went all over the battle box. We are this season trying a different igniter. It's similar to the one Blacksmith used. I said, well, if Blacksmith can use it in the end of their hammer and fire their hammer back and forth and still have fire coming out, it's probably good enough to put on the side of Kraken's shop. We want to test it, right? We've got extra time now. One of the few benefits of this coronavirus thing. So we're going to test it and test it. So part of the goal is to get 4-letter word up and running and check the igniter and stuff and fight them against each other and crash them into each other and see what happens. So I think I might kind of pull 4-letter or Kraken back in off the side, power her down. Pull the butane tank out, and then I'll try and get 4-letter word out, and then we can keep working from there. Okay. Start by taking that butane tank out before we bring it to the side of the house. So that is running. Sorry, I'm kind of hiding from y'all. I'm trying to get 4-letter word buried out from under her nest in the back of the crate here. She kind of hides in the very back. Not because we're ashamed of her. Not it at all. She doesn't do much fighting these days. All right. So, a little known fact about heavyweight robots. Heavyweight robots are heavy. Kraken weighs 250 pounds. This one, which I'm dragging through the box here, is much lighter. It only weighs like 160 or 180 pounds or something. Stupid heavy still. And they get surprisingly sharp. So, this one. That one there. This one is 4-letter word. It's my very first heavyweight robot. So you guys can actually see her in all of her glory. Move our out of the way. There we go. So, this is 4-letter word. It was starting out, it's a 2-wheel drive robot. Uses 2 wheelchair motors just directly to the axles of the tire, which there's a little rubber coupler there. Rubber coupler. Start that over. There is a rubber coupler there that prevents shock from the tires and the frame transmitting back into the motors. The reason being is these motors are actually cast aluminum, so they're super, super brittle. They work great for regular wheelchair use. They will be fine, but in a battle box and the shock loads that battle bots take would blow those gearboxes apart. They get blown to smithereens. So that little rubber piece in there kind of prevents any shock loading in and out or side to side from transmitting back into the robot. Excuse me. Originally, 4-letter word was 4-wheel drive. There was a chain drive to a set of wheels up front. Excuse me. And that was why that's why it's this long. There's supposed to be another set of tires located in here. And there is originally, you can't see them now, but there were 2 holes in the front where we had bearings that were mounted for the, oops, it's yelling at me because I forgot to shut the transmitter off. I don't know what that was. There we go. There were 2 holes in the front. Up here. Later on, we cut those holes out. We cut a big notch. And the most successful version of 4-letter word had a big disc spinner that went on the front here. It was still four-wheel drive. It had a big disc. Eventually, those bearings kind of failed, so we took the disc off and we welded these big hardened steel spikes on there. The hardened steel spikes worked great. We took the two tires off, put the hardened steel spikes in the front, and we were working on making a pneumatically actuated hammer. It wasn't super powerful or anything like that, but it would have been cool. And we just never got it done. So it was kind of one of those we kind of just hacked around with different robot parts and stuff until we got something that worked. But we'll make it back to putting the pneumatic hammer in this thing one day. But for right now, it's going to be Kraken's play toy. So there are a couple areas where it has some weakness. There's a piece of half-inch Lexan on the front here. That's going to be a weak spot. The other weak spot is going to be this. So there's another piece of half-inch Lexan which goes across the back here. Oops. And that is where that's what protects all the internals and stuff like that. Kraken can easily bite through half-inch plastic, but we think, right? We haven't actually tested her biting through half-inch plastic. It's one of the materials we haven't checked, so we're going to check it. I think she'll go through it just fine, but we need to check. So we'll go that way. So right now we're going to work on getting four-letter word put back together again. And that means we're going to skip through real quick. And grab this guy. So this was actually a robot that we built for up in North Carolina. It's another, back a little bit, it's another two-wheel drive robot. And it's made of wood. It's got a plywood base on it. Whoops. Likes to throw its battery pack at me. But it's made of wood, 2x4s for the front and back, plywood base. It's got these little steel pieces on the sides, and it's designed to play with roller hockey pucks. So the puck would go inside there, the short would get it, and they would try and drive it to a goal. They have a competition. It takes place in North Carolina at Hickory Bot Battles. Super fun. Oh my God, is it fun. We've gone a number of years. Bot hockey is by far our favorite part. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go. This robot only got to fight in one match, or compete in one match. It's not really a fight, because my battery pack is actually a drill battery. And it uses the drill charger, and I've left the drill charger for this at home. So super unfortunate. But we're going to get it, it's basically all put together, which means I need to take it apart. So what we're going to do is these speed controllers and everything are just mounted to a 2x4. And they have little screws that connect them to the drive motors here. It's the same screws that we pulled, the speed controllers we pulled from four-letter word originally. So all we're going to do is we're just going to unscrew this 2x4, take this back panel off that has all the electronics mounted to it, and then we're just going to screw that 2x4 down to the wood base in Kraken. Oh yeah, the Kraken has a wood base too. That should be awesome with fire. And with the crush, I think it's gonna be really bad for that. But we're gonna just put this 2x4 inside the robot, hopefully where it will not be hit by the teeth of when Kraken tries to bite at it. But if not, whatever. It's part of the fun. Oh, I forgot to show you guys this. This is super cool. Okay, so remember I said four-letter word was one of the very first robots that I built. and I've modified it a lot over the years. But one of the things which is super janky, and I'm super proud of the jankiness of this. I don't know if you can see it real well. Yeah, you can see it. This is a light kit from IKEA, and the light kit from IKEA. I was looking at it, and it actually runs on 12 volts. It uses a little power supply which converts the 12-volt signal, feeds a 12-volt, and then it's got a little light. You can choose different colors, and it could change like a flashy light or whatever. And it's designed to go for like under cabinets of lights to get like or in like a soffit around the house or something to make like a cool lighting effect. It was like, I'll say it was like $10, maybe even $15. And I was like, I think that I can make that work on one of the robots. So I bought it, I brought it home, and rather than like try and make like an Arduino controller or do anything crazy like that, I was just like, you know what? Let's just bolt it in with the full light controller and everything, and I can adjust its color right here, and I can select different modes on it and stuff. And I was like, I think I could make this work, and it was literally like 10 minutes of work. It was awesome. I was so happy with how well it worked out. I think the hardest part of it was it needed to be like exactly 12 volts, and I was running it at like 15, and I was worried it would smoke it. So I put a little 12-volt regulator on there that got kind of warm. I think I burnt up the first one, so I bolted the second one to a big aluminum heatsink. And I put two of them together. I put two of them together, connected to the heatsink, soldered them all up, and they get really hot, but they work. Super jank, but it's super cool. I love it. So all right, let's set her down. Knock her over. Let's spin it. All right. So there's our bot on the floor. The reason she's on the floor is because we're running out of carts. We're just out of carts. I'm not sponsored by DeWalt or anything. I have a lot of DeWalt tools. My mother-in-law actually bought me these tools. I really like them. But the batteries on these, like they're little 20-volt lithiums. They charge in like 15-20 minutes. You'd be fully dead, and within 20 minutes the battery's fully charged back up again. So that's what I love about it. All right, let's get these electronics. So I just pulled those two screws off the back. Got it there. The speed controllers are actually Velcroed in as well, so I could just unvelcro them, which I may do. As I sit here and think about it, I may just take the Velcro off. I think I've got. Oops, I think I've got a little power strip connected on here and stuff. I think it's just going to be a lot easier just to move everything over at once. this is 100% ready to go now. All we got to do is bolt it down and find a little place to Velcro our receiver to, and we're ready to rock and roll. So this guy temporarily go back on this little shelf. So we have time to fix it. A lot of people don't like, or maybe don't appreciate making robots out of wood. It is just a fast way to make robot parts. So it's one of those things. Don't let your materials hold you back. If all you have is some plywood and some 2x4s, you can make a robot out of plywood and 2x4s. If you have a robot that has, you have access to a machine shop and you can make everything custom, make everything custom. But if you don't, use what you got available to you. You know, don't let your materials hold you back from doing what you want to do. So 4-letter words kind of are sacrificial lamb, but that doesn't mean I want to blow her up, right? I've had this robot a long time. I'd like to keep using her as a sacrificial lamb for future matches. So I'm gonna try and protect. Oh, is that gonna be beautiful? Oh my gosh. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I'll tell you what, folks. That is stinking perfect. That is gonna work beautifully well. Yeah. Yes, sir. Will those be long enough to reach? Yes, I believe that they will. Not perfectly set up, but it is going to work. Especially when you bend that wire over hard like that. All right. So, yeah, I got my speed controllers, my little 2x4. I didn't measure this. I didn't preach. Like I don't preach. I don't do any pre-work on this. I just kind of turn on a camera. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna start working and see who watches. But I started 2x4 just fit in there beautifully. So I didn't even think about, hey, or if that 2x4 will fit between those motors, but it fits in there perfectly. So it'll be kind of the electronics, everything will be kind of protected in the back of the robot. So when we're biting, we'll just make sure that we're biting up front, and we kind of keep clear of the back of the robot, and we should be fine. We should be able to bite the sides and the front. It'll be enough that we can really do a realistic scenario. We'll just be careful with our biting. So we're going to stand this guy back up. Oops. I said we're going to be real careful with our electronics. I'm going to dump them on the ground and break them. Yeah, just grab some wood screws. I was tipping it over. Come on. All right. Now we should. Just wanted to start that hole a little bit so that it make it a little bit easier. Let's run one more screw in there. Pick up some wiring. We'll have a second heavyweight ready for power. All right. Oh, I put it on upside down. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip it over. So what happened? These are the wires that make the lights turn on. And I have the speed controller down here has only one wire for power and positive and negative. This one has two. And the screws are kind of short, so I don't want to be in a situation where maybe the screws come undone. So I'm just going to undo the screws I did, flip that board over, install it the other side. And drop it on the ground again. One more time. Spare wire. The screws I had pulled out were from a rage bridge. A rage bridge. I use the rage in Kraken now. So. Can't find it. All right. It's leaking oil. All right. So. So kind of a weird fact. I just realized as I was working on this. These drive motors, these two wheelchair motors, were the very first robot parts I ever bought. Someone was selling them on the old Delphi forums. I forget his name now. He was one of the big Southeast combat robotics builders. He sold them to me for $250 for the pair of them, $125 each, which at the time was a steal. Couldn't get these things for that cheap. Yeah. For a steal now, I don't know. I wouldn't sell them for that much. They've been in the battle box for 15 years, so I don't want that much. But when I got them, they were brand new. You know, they run them on a little test on the heavyweight, and he wasn't able to finish his project. So I bought them, and I've used them ever since. Very old. I think these are the only parts that I have from when I started that are still even used. I don't know too many builders that have parts from when they first started building that they're still using today. All right, so what else do I like? All right, so it's one of those rare instances where I did something intelligent. I put a black wire on one side and a white wire on the other. I haven't wired this up in, I don't know, 3-4 years. So I'm gonna guess that I did it right when I did it. And I put a black wire on the negative and a white wire on the positive. That seems like something I would do. Not enough wire. Cool. Let's get a battery and see if she works. trying to find the transmitter while I was in there. I couldn't find it. So, all right. While we're here, the battery that I grabbed out, I noticed it had a heat shrink over one of the battery terminals. Already on. One of the battery terminals did not have its heat shrink applied. If its heat shrink was on it, it just wasn't shrunk, so it was sliding off. So we'll put that on real quick. We don't need a battery fire. That's on one of the last things that we need. So, still have a setting on here. We call it heavyweight. So I'm model version on here called heavyweight. I'm going to guess that that's the right one. We got a 50-50 shot. Oh, we need a battery. The problem with these old Victor speed controllers, these are Victor 883. So for those of you that know about what, you know those are old. Not as old as those probably is, but they are old. But they need a receiver battery as well. So I'm going to grab one of those real quick. All right, let's try again. Got another receiver too. Let's try to swap this guy. Like I said, I don't know the last time that receiver was used. There we go. Look at that. Love it when a plan comes together. That's more zip ties on here. All right, let's see if we are. Smells like dirty brushes. Let's check it. Oops. Now the trim's gonna be off again. There we go. No. All right. We're gonna go in. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to. So let's show you real quick. If you look, see, when I press up on the stick, I should go forward. But one wheel's going forward and one wheel's going backwards, so I'm spinning. Down the same way. Pressing left is actually forward, and pressing right is backwards. So I think I just need to go in here and reverse my wheel around. I'm also going to reverse. There it is. Okay. So we just need to reverse our elevator channel. So now up, forward, down is backwards. That is spin left. That is spin right. And you notice here, Kraken is way slower than, or I'm sorry, four-letter word is way slower than Kraken. It's not even close. It's just the motors in four-letter word weigh like 8 pounds each, and the motors in Kraken weigh like 15 pounds each. It's a much bigger, more powerful drive setup, and we got those motors from our sponsor MPC Robotics. These are just common wheelchair motors that you can get on any wheelchair off the street. The MPC Robotics motors are more custom built for the application of robot fighting. All right, so we're ready to robot fight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got flame over there. We've already tested the pneumatics; they work. We've got drive over there. We've got all fail safes over there. Let's do a fail safe here, and just to make sure. This one's kind of slow and not super powerful, so if something does go crazy, we can always stop it. But let's do a quick check. So ready? We're gonna let's move that out of the way a little bit so you can see. And press up. Perfect. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Turn it back on and it doesn't freak out when it rehooks. We're ready to go. So for this one, what we're gonna do is the battery that's in there right now is one of our brand new batteries that we're going to use for Kraken this year. I have batteries that we bought 2 years ago for Kraken that we call our spare batteries. I'll get one of those and the rubber case that goes in it. We'll put one of the spare batteries from last year in the rubber case, and we'll just zip tie it in there somewhere so it doesn't fall out, probably to this post back here. And we'll get some of our wiring cleaned up. And then hopefully tomorrow, weather permitting, we can get out there and get in the garage or in the driveway, sorry, and do a robot fight. So weather permitting tomorrow, we'll do a robot fight. Thanks everyone for watching, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.